Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I wanted to talk a bit about being a dietitian. Now, I've been a dietitian for a little over 2 years now, and that in no way makes me an expert in the path that a dietitian can go, but my experiences and my current knowledge could be of use for some of you out there who might want to be a dietitian. So today, we're going to be talking about what a dietitian does and where they can work, what skills are needed to be one, how to be one, and then my own kind of experiences and the pros and cons of being a dietitian relating back to my own experience. Let's get started. So dietitians can do various things in a lot of different settings. One of the major paths that we can take is clinical nutrition, and that can include adjusting the hospital diets for very sick patients or adjusting the long-term care diets for elderly patients. You can also do your own private practice or work as part of a healthcare team in a clinic to counsel clients on things such as weight management, chronic disease management, and food intolerances. The next major pathway is the food service pathway. And that can take you from creating menus for hospitals or long-term care homes to actually being a food service or maybe food service plus nutrition combined manager at the hospital or long-term care home. In creating the menus for such institutions, you can either be already working there as a clinical dietitian, or you can be a dietitian that's just consulted to make a menu. A lot of dietitians now are definitely getting into the craze of being a retail dietitian, and that means working in a grocery store. As a retail dietitian, you can do things such as promote on social media, you can do cooking demos, you can do seminars about various nutrition topics that people are interested in. You can also take customers on grocery store tours. Next area is private companies or maybe a national organization. For example, a specific yogurt company or a national dairy farmers association kind of thing. So either way, you are promoting that organization or the products of that company. You are constantly looking for new research, looking into the benefits that your product provides, and then seeing how that associates to health. You could be creating webinars on these on the recommendations that you found. And you can also promote your company or your organization through conferences that you go to. So in general, as a dietitian, no matter what you're doing, where you're promoting nutrition for good health and disease prevention, or maybe disease management. Whether it's an individual or a small group, large group, or an entire population of an area, you are coming up with nutrition interventions to satisfy their needs. So the first set of skills you're going to need as a dietitian is to be non-judgmental, compassionate, and empathetic. And these are really good skills in general, but especially to have as a professional who works in healthcare, as a professional who works with people. Nutrition is about health, and health can be a sensitive topic, whether it's about the illnesses that your patients have right now, the illnesses that they're afraid to get in the future, childhood traumatic experiences maybe that actually cause them to eat the way that they do now. The best thing is to try and put yourself in their shoes, because it's difficult. Think about it. You're basically opening yourself up to a stranger and you're telling them all about yourself, your experiences, your background, your health, and your health fears as well. The next set of skills is critical thinking, detail-oriented, and active listening. So this is important for nutrition assessments. Whatever questions you ask them, patients are not always going to answer with the most detailed answers. For example, if you ask them, what do you have for breakfast? They say, oh, I usually have toast and cereal for breakfast. Great. So what kind of toast? How many slices? What kind of milk do you use? 1 or 2% or whole milk? What kind of cereal? Anything else that you put on your toast? What else do you drink besides all that? It's a lot, I know. And for nutrition interventions, you need your clinical judgment to prioritize and find out what exactly is the main issue that we're trying to tackle, maybe before anything else. Because it's super rare that you're gonna cover everything that you and or the patient wants to cover in one go. The next set of skills is to be either good or willing to learn about counseling others, and also great interpersonal skills. To be in a health profession where you are constantly helping people, you need to actually like people. You need to actually enjoy talking to them, getting to know them, and genuinely wanting to help them. And counseling was actually not something that we learned very much of during school, but it's going to be something that is important for the rest of your career as a dietitian, and you will soon find that out. And don't be so hard on yourself. It takes so much skill and time and mainly practice. Like, I know a dietitian who has worked for over 30 years, and even she says it's still hard for her, and it has taken her the 30 years to really improve on her counseling skills. So just don't worry about being perfect. Just be willing to improve on your counseling. Finally, as a dietitian, or really any professional that works in healthcare, you need to be willing to learn and be skeptical of new things. Especially with nutrition, things change, recommendations change. Yesterday we were afraid of eggs. Today we're saying, no, eggs are fine. So who knows what's gonna come up tomorrow? You need to be caught up, and patients expect you to be caught up on the current recommendations so that you will tell them the most evidence-backed recommendation at that moment. Be skeptical about new studies. Basically, look at the design of the study, length of the studies, how many participants, what the results were, how did the authors spin the results, because a lot of times patients find articles online that look at studies, and those studies, the way that they interpret it, is not accurate. So you just end up with a lot of BS that you're gonna have to clarify to the patient. So I'm a Canadian dietitian, so I'll just talk about my experiences there. What I did was go to undergrad for about 4 years. Then I did an internship that I know the timing usually varies, but an average is maybe 40 to maybe 52 weeks. I did 40 myself. And those experiences are a combination of clinical nutrition, food service management, and community nutrition. I then studied for the exam, passed the exam, and I had to register in the province that I live in. Not too certain about the US dietitian process, but I do believe from what I've heard, it does seem to be a very similar process. For the US, there I believe are 2 different things that you have to register to. One is the Commission on Dietetic Registration, and then you likely have to register in whatever state that you are going to be working and living in as well. So why did I become a dietitian? Well, I actually had no freaking idea what to do when I was in grade 11 or grade 12. And I ended up applying, besides nutrition, I had an art major where I was wanting to go into language later on. I also had an architecture major. But at that moment, I realized, I heard that my family abroad was starting to have all these, health issues and chronic health issues. And also at the same time, one of my friends who was a year above me, she went into the program that I was going to be going into later for nutrition. And after I heard about that, I ended up seeing more and more things about nutrition pop up at me, either from websites or, commercials, etc. And then so I realized that nutrition could be a really helpful thing, not only for me, not only for my family or friends, but for everyone who needs to know about nutrition, who needs to know about the simple things that we can do to prevent disease and manage disease. One big pro of being a dietitian is the knowledge of nutrition for disease management and disease prevention. And eating is such a big part of everyone's life. And society now, I believe, really needs dietitians more than ever, because we have such a growing and increasing percentage of people who have different chronic diseases, such as diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, obesity. And I believe that dietitians can play a vital role in that. So the major con of being an RD in my experience is that there are very little job opportunities. Society does need more dietitians. Unfortunately, I don't think society has caught up with us on that belief yet. If you don't have a connection to someone, it's very difficult for you to get a position. For myself, currently I run a private practice at a clinic. Actually, I just started doing the YouTube channel and Instagram on the side. It's better for me to pass on to you guys the easy tips and practical tips that you can use to make sure that you're eating more nutritiously. Following on that first point, we are not a very publicized profession. If, for example, a patient wants nutrition information, they're not going to come to us first. They're going to go to the internet, they're going to go to books, friends, family, coworkers, and potentially other YouTube channels. There is a huge chance that any of the areas that they look at first is not going to be evidence-based. Therefore, they're going to get wrong information or information that's not individualized to them. Insurance, they're not recognizing dietitians. They don't usually have insurance coverage for dietitians. And when people are not going to be covered by insurance, it's going to be harder for them to shell out those bucks to see you. Now, as the sun is quickly setting and I want to desperately finish this before you guys can not see me at all, I want to give you guys some tips on how to become a dietitian, or the best way to go at it, really. So the first tip is to definitely network as much as you can. Join any type of food conferences that you have at school. Join any food or nutrition groups that you have at school. Get to know your professors, or even volunteer at different nutrition or food-related areas. And when you do have your internships, make sure that the first thing you do after you graduate is go back to those internships and submit a resume to them. Number 2, combine your knowledge with another type of profession. For example, a fitness instructor, a chef, so that you can kind of offer more to your profession. Have more than one option prepared beforehand. So your masters, try to have job lined up before you even become a dietitian, just so that you can be fully pre-prepared for things. There are some gripes about being a dietitian, but I still do feel like that it's a very interesting and ever-growing field, and still feel like it's a very useful field. So I truly hope you guys have got some interesting information out of this, and hopefully useful too. This was not meant to encourage or discourage you from becoming a dietitian, just some general information and of course personal experience to get you guys thinking more and more about whether or not to become a dietitian. If you guys have any other questions about it, please comment below, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.